they were able to get one viable embryo. And they were like, we think this is it. Like, this is the only one. I mean, typically when people go through IVF, you get anywhere from, well, low numbers to up to 20. And we'd always been, I think our highest number of, viable eggs to use was maybe 10 or 11, something like that.
This time they got one.
We got one. And they're like, this is the only one that made it to day 5 or whatever they say. And it was, blastocyst and all that kind of stuff. And we're like, all right, it's our last one. It's our, third time up here. And, what a miracle. It worked. Thank God. Thank God.
And that's your kid.
Yeah. And that's our kid, and it's funny.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was quite a process, and it was a strain. By that time we were just like, we'd gone through like miscarriage. We've gone through like the depression of not being successful through, I don't even know, I don't remember how many times you go through it, but I remember the times where it was like, okay, it worked. And I remember the time, okay, we heard the heartbeat. And I remember where I was in all these different places when we got this information, and the gender and all these different things.
You are listening to Dedicated Joe, the new dad's guide on the upending and transformational experience of becoming a father. Prenatal supplements are really important, but how do you know which one to choose, right? There's so many. And also, did you know that there's actually postnatal supplements for moms and even for dads? Well, today I have on the show Skyler Nelson, a registered dietitian, former athlete, and the co-founder of I Am Nurtured, who is revolutionizing the pre- and postnatal supplement industry. See, for most dads, parenthood begins the moment you see that positive pregnancy test. But for Skylar, it took 6 long years to get there. He and his wife really struggled with infertility, and then after having their miracle baby, discovered the exhausting reality of early parenthood. So today he's the proud father of an 8-year-old son, and on a mission to really help parents everywhere nourish their bodies and minds through every stage of the journey, preconception, prenatal, postpartum. So we talk about how to know if a supplement is safe or actually works, how nutrition impacts fertility, recovery, and mood, and just why supplements can make such a big difference in helping with that, the mood and sleepless nights and long days of postpartum. Skylar shares what it means to really fuel fatherhood from the inside out, and shares why caring for yourself is one of the best ways to actually take care of your family. So this episode can really supplement any other information you already have. Check it out. Hello, welcome back to Dedicated Joe.
Thank you for having me. Nice to meet you.
Yeah, great to have you here. I always like to start with how and why you decided to become a dad. Like, why did you want to be a dad?
Well, my wife and I got married kind of late. We were both in our 30s. So,
Yep, me too.
Right from the onset, we were like, okay, we're a little bit older. My wife was classified advanced maternal age, which she didn't like to hear, but that's just medicine, I guess. And so we tried for 6 months, unsuccessful, sought out the help of, thinking, oh, then maybe this is an infertility issue. Thinking, okay, it's probably her eggs, limited amount of eggs, and they get, they degrade as you get over time. But it turns out that it was kind of both. And a lot of times you don't really hear much about the male factor. I think it's being discussed a little bit more, but where a typical male has, tens of thousands of sperm, I was like barely hitting 100,000. So that was an interesting experience. So met with many different urologists, went through several procedures in order to boost that. As a dietitian, we were together locked into, okay, what's the best diet for both of us? It was nice to have like that support with each other, making Mediterranean diet, specifically lean proteins, high antioxidant foods, high fiber. So we had that dialed in.
That's like fish and veggies.
Fish, tons of veggies, omega-3 fatty acids. Yeah, exactly. So anything to help like any type of DNA fragmentation that was happening where sperm weren't being produced. So we got that dialed in. We felt really good about that. And I still was seeing no improvement in my numbers when I would go see my urologist. And it turns out I had something called a varicocele. Not sure if, anyway, it's like a vein that goes around your testicles and heats it up. And heat is what you can't, heat is what, I'd given up cycling. I was very into cycling, hundreds of miles a week and things like that. So I had, a handful of procedures to help to correct that. I
Wow.
won't go.
You had to really want
Yeah,
it.
yeah, it was.
I mean, you guys were did you guys both know already when you got married? Like, when you were like, we want babies, so we better get
Yeah,
started
yeah,
because 'cause we're a
exactly.
little older."
That was the impetus. My wife was like, "We need to get married so we can have kids," and I was like, "Yeah, I think you're right." Turns
Yeah.
out, we go through this 6-year process.
Wow.
Going through correcting the varicocele. I have coils in my body still to stop blood flow. I
Wow.
went through, like, forgive me if this is a little too much too TMI, but at least 3 procedures where I would go in and they would harvest sperm directly from my testicles.
Wow.
Anyway,
And then to implant her with
yeah,
to use
yeah.
to what you
So
do.
we
Yeah.
did, man, we went through, it was at least 5 years with, 2 cycles a year. So you can imagine the strain. I mean, it was, mental, um, financial, obviously, without
Yeah.
success. And we finally had one doctor that said, there is a procedure. They don't do it here because it's non-FDA approved. They do it, they developed the technology in Massachusetts, but they're unable to do it in this country. So they said, you can go to Dubai or you can go to Canada and Toronto. So we connected with this doctor and he said, yeah, we have this procedure where we can harvest these egg precursor cells and extract the mitochondria. So the mitochondria is the powerhouse of the cell, wakes the cell up or keeps the cell going. And the analogy they used was, what we'll do is we'll run you through a typical cycle and get you, establish your follicles, extract the eggs. And then we'll put these new mitochondria into your eggs. Effectively, the analogy is we put new batteries in a flashlight and hopefully the flashlight
Wow.
works. So we were like, oh, this
Cool.
is great. We're excited about this. So
Supercharge. Yeah, get a little
supercharge. Yeah, yeah.
supercharge.
Let's boost these up. Let's, put some high octane in these eggs that are, a little bit older. We go,
It's like spraying the ether in the gas in air intake
yeah, yeah,
of the
nitrous or
or in the
something.
car.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I don't know much about cars, but I've heard that term before.
Yeah.
Anyway, so we end up going to Toronto. They extract the cells. They're like, okay, now you're going to run through a cycle with the hormones and stuff. And we end up going back up there. And I think it was our second time going there. They were able to get one viable embryo. And they were like, we think this is it. Like, this is the only one. I mean, typically when people go through IVF, you get anywhere from, low numbers to up to 20. And we'd always been, I think our highest number of, viable eggs to use was maybe 10 or 11, something like that.
This time they got one.
We got one. And they're like, this is the only one that
This
made
is
it to
the
day
one.
5 or whatever they say. And it
Jeez.
was, blastocyst and all that kind of stuff. And we're like, all right, it's our last one. It's our, third time up here. And, what a miracle. It worked. Thank God.
It
Thank
worked,
God.
and that's your kid.
Yeah. And
Yeah.
that's our kid, and
Yeah.
it's funny.
Wow.
Yeah. So it was quite a process and it was a strain. We went through, speaking to somebody in therapy and stuff like that. But eventually we got there, which is where we
Emotional.
wanted to be. So,
And how old were you each by that time?
oh, my wife, I remember when she was pregnant, I threw her a 40th birthday party. So she had just turned 40 when we kind of found out.
Okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And you?
38.
38.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was
So,
38 and she was 42. I think I was 38, 39. She was 42. I think 43 when she had the baby.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, like they call it geriatric, which
Yeah,
is
which
pretty
it just kills.
pretty
It was
irritating.
not.
Yeah,
She
it's
was
not a
not
nice thing
happy
to
about
say.
that.
Yeah,
Um,
and Serenity, she did fine. A baby was fine, but it was hard on her. Like, just being older, just the
yeah,
recoveries, it was like really tough.
yeah,
There was so much more fatigue
yeah.
and hormone issues, and she's sort of like both postpartum and menopausal. It
Oh
was
my
like this
gosh,
weird, like she's sort of like late postpartum, early menopausal crossover, which is really weird.
what a hormone
Yeah.
crash there or something, right? It's like an
Yes.
intersection that you don't want to be a part of.
Yeah.
Yeah, my wife fortunately had a really smooth pregnancy, like no morning sickness.
Hey, I want to take a quick minute to talk about gut health. Super important for the whole family, but especially babies, pregnant women, whatever stage you're at. Gut health is key to overall health. And if you or a baby are having any health issues, starting by looking in the gut is one of the best places to start. And there's no better gut health test out there, in my opinion, than the Tiny Health Test. This was originally designed, optimized for babies, but have expanded incredibly to pregnant women. Vaginal tests, they've expanded to the whole family because baby's gut health is actually highly related to the parent's gut health. So whether you had a C-section or natural birth, or your baby's got eczema or sleep issues or whatever it is, Gut health is a great place to start. And what I like about the Tiny Health test is it's incredibly modern. It's really taken all the other gut health technology and put it into one place. And they give you these incredibly easy to read results that tell you exactly what's going on in your gut and how to optimize it through food or probiotics. It's really tough to know which probiotics to take because it's not a one size fits all. And Tiny Health Test will tell you exactly what to do. It was created by Cheryl Sue Hoy, a personal friend of ours who I've had on the show, and she's just a genius at gut health. So get $20 off your first test with the code DADICATED and check it out today.
You know, by that time, we were just like, we'd gone through like miscarriage. We've gone through like the depression of not being successful through, I don't even know, I don't remember how many times you go through it, but I remember the times where it was like, okay, it worked. And I remember the time, okay, we heard the heartbeat. And I remember where I was in all these different places when we got this information and the gender and all these different things. She did have sciatica toward the end, so that was kind of a bummer. But other than that, thankfully, I think we go through so much and we're just elated. We're just like, oh, this is the best. It's like 6 years of trying to do this, and it defines your marriage. And you're like, we not that we didn't get to enjoy, but it's, you just get married and you go through this process, and it takes a real toll. So
we tried for about a year. We were trying to start the baby food company, and we're also trying to get pregnant.
Yeah.
But we decided to start the baby food company because we were planning to get
Yeah,
pregnant. They were kind of founded together in that way. And then we had hoped to start the company first and like have it kind of going a little and then have the baby. So we had some sort of false starts, but then it was going to take way longer than we thought.
Yeah.
Took over 2 years in the end to get the products out. And so we kind of start and stopped a few times and they're like, oh, we're close to launch. Let's hold off on getting pregnant. Oh, wait, the launch didn't work. Let's try to get pregnant again. Oh, wait, we're launching coming up. Let's not get pregnant. Oh no, let's try to get pregnant again. So these like weird things, but we just kept not working. And then finally we were just like, we can't rely on the launch. We want to have a baby. We'll just go full steam ahead.
Yeah.
And that was probably about 6 months into that she realized that we needed to be married. She had been married before.
Okay.
I wanted to be married, but she didn't really want to get married again. And I was like, I want to be married. I'd never been married.
Yeah.
I want to have a wedding, all that.
Yeah.
And she's like, nah, I'm not that into that, but we can have a baby. So I was like, okay, the baby, I want the baby more than the marriage. So it's fine.
Yeah.
And we're starting a company. So that's basically like being a married.
Right. It becomes another child.
We signed the LLC together. So I was like, that counts,
Yeah.
And then she's like, I think we need to be married for it to work. And so I was like, boom, I'll plan a wedding. I want to have a wedding.
Oh, really?
I'll buy a dress and show up. It's your wedding. As far as I'm concerned, we can go to the courthouse and get married. I'm like, no, I want a wedding. So I planned this amazing wedding, really, really epic wedding. And we get pregnant on the honeymoon. Like next week, literally a week, like we leave and get pregnant like days after.
That's high vibrations,
so it was
man. That's like
totally intuition, and we'd done a lot of spiritual stuff. And
really?
She also went keto to try to slim down for the wedding dress. She thinks maybe that could have affected.
Oh, for sure.
They say keto can lead to pregnancy somehow, but like I said, I was 38, she was 42 at the time, so we weren't like spring chickens, but we were still plenty fertile. And got it done.
That's fantastic. That's good.
Yeah,
that's
quite the journey for you though. That's amazing.
And then my wife, like less than a year later, was like, let's go back and do it again. And I was like, are you sure? Like, can you handle the, but it was cool because we got to bring our son with us and kind of like, we'd become very close to the doctor and kind of parade him around, I guess, just like, we did it like Simba, it was special. No, but I think the spiritual thing we'd done like a lot of, we did acupuncture together. We did like some Kundalini yoga and all that kind of stuff. And, I think that my wife's kind of a stressful kind of person. I think that was like,
Stress
over
is so
time,
tough.
like she kind of would
Mine
let
too.
go of things. And I think that kind of, obviously we had like the boost, obviously, but I think that was part of like.
So you tried it a second time. What happened with that?
It didn't work, unfortunately.
And you weren't going to do it another 6 years.
Can't.
Like, let's try once, and if it doesn't work, it's not meant to be.
It's just we won, and that's how we thought about it. And
did you ever consider adoption or surrogate or any of that?
Yeah, we did. But my wife is not stubborn, but she doesn't say, she can't take no. And she was like, I'm having a baby. I started this process. We've invested so much of our time and emotion and everything into it, and when it happened, it was just like we didn't tell anybody we were going through it except our family, so that was kind of hard
Yeah.
too. But
Yeah.
yeah, we did it, and we were, you know, speaking of being a dad, I was so ready to be a dad. I was like, this is it. Like this is, and you know how much it changes you. You're just like, you don't expect, you think you're prepared for it, but it's just like, no, this is a whole different thing, man. This becomes your life, and it's a really beautiful
Mhm.
thing. So
Yeah.
blessed.
What were some of the things that surprised you?
Well, I think that just the feeling of being a dad and it just changes, like what love is, if that sounds silly. It's just like I'll do anything for this human being. And it's like it's for my friends that don't have kids, I really and I think they should because it's just a life changer. And I think it's beautiful, man. And every year gets better. Every year is a new challenge. And but it's a challenge that, I think you should take on because it's a special and a beautiful one, as you know, being a dad.
Yeah, especially working so hard for it there,
Yeah,
so
yeah, yeah, yeah,
yeah, I definitely want a second. Wife would like to have a second. She doesn't love the idea of all the work to get
yeah,
there. She's 47 now, so we're not gonna do that naturally
yeah,
just it's so hard on her
yeah,
body,
of course.
and so, like, we'd been looking at adoption, we're
Oh,
considering surrogate, there's a few different
yeah,
things we're looking at,
yeah,
but a second one's I feel like in our future. She's not ready today,
yeah.
but,
You're ready for
we'll
diapers
keep
again.
talking about it. Yeah, she knows that I want it and I'm ready, but it's a lot of work for a mom. It's a
Oh,
different kind
100%,
of mental load
for sure.
and emotional thing, and we're still very actively running the business,
Yeah,
and she's very prone to stress as well, so it's
yeah.
kind of like, it's not today, but hopefully soon.
Well, I wish you all the best in
Yeah.
that. That's a
Yeah. So how did you come to your business? How did you start this vitamin company?
so, so my business partner, we worked together at a startup here in San Diego, and she had left the company, and I left the company also. And we were on a play date with our sons, and they're, like I said, well, I don't know if I told you, but they're a week apart. We were kind of commiserating, once we'd gone through the process of infertility, and then we have our son, which is a beautiful thing. And, all my wife wants to do is to be the best mom, obviously. And her milk came in really late. So there was a
Mm,
huge frustration around
mm,
lactation because all she wanted to do was, do all the stuff. And
yep.
breastfeeding is definitely one of the things. And so we were like, all right, we made the lactation cookies. I was all the supplements we were trying to take to get it going. I was helping. There's this like special tube feed. I was activated immediately helping with this tube feed and nipple process we went through. And then, I was talking to
The
Jeannie.
tube feed that was, like, on the nipple, so it was
Yeah. So
still
I was like
latched?
no, it was like this little tube that was connected to formula. So hopefully he was getting her breast milk and the formula because there wasn't a
Huh.
lot of, anyway,
As a
it
mixture
was a
while that
mixture. Yeah. It was
it goes
just,
with the nipple, so yeah, I
we
haven't heard of
needed
that.
we needed boosting in every kind of way here at the beginning.
Right.
So eventually it came in, I mean, it could have been because of the supplements, hopefully because of the food, whatever.
Just for listeners, what's that called, that tube thing, if somebody
Gosh,
ever
I don't know.
you know
I
what
don't
it's called?
remember what it was called.
Okay.
The lactation
We'll look for
consultant
it,
was.
put it in the
I'm
show notes, but
sorry.
yeah, I'd never heard of that. That's cool because you could also hypothetically put donor milk in there,
Exactly.
and
Exactly.
then you'd have breast
Yeah.
milk or plus her breast milk, but
Yeah.
they're still sucking to activate the
Yeah.
latch.
Yeah. We
Yeah,
went.
that's
Yeah.
cool.
The latch was also a thing. It was tongue tied, so we had that corrected. And
Yeah, the tongue tie revision Della had as well, and my wife is a huge advocate for revising tongue and lip
yeah.
ties.
Yeah, for sure.
For everybody, for listeners, there's little things that are tied, or
Hmm.
if you have the little lip, those aren't supposed to be there. Those are malformations, and
Yeah.
they prevent good latching, and they actually prevent good jaw development and
Yeah.
breathing later in life. Like my wife and I both had ours revised
Yeah.
later, and we revised it on our daughter. We wished we'd done it sooner,
Yeah.
but in Argentina has some of the highest breastfeeding rates in the world, and one of the things they do is revision at birth. Like
Just
it's like
standard.
automatic. Standard at birth in the delivery room, they check, it's there, they cut it, it's gone, and they have some of the best breastfeeding rates in the world. So
That's interesting.
those revisions are
That's
huge.
interesting. Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah,
Huh.
yeah, and for adults, if adults have them,
Hmm.
it does affect your breathing. Like you can't breathe as well with those. So I had mine cut, and it's really not so bad. Like it sounds painful, but
Did
it's
you have it
not
cut
too
in
bad.
as an adult?
Y Yeah, I had my tongue
Oh.
revised,
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Yeah, I had tongue
Interesting.
and lip, I had both. I had tongue and lip, and they were both
Oh
revised,
my gosh.
and then my wife had her tongue revised as well, and then our daughter had a lip and tongue both we had to do. I think she just had the lip, actually. My daughter, we just had the upper lip,
Yeah.
and, it sounds Sounds awful,
No,
like
I watched it. I
surgery
watched
on
it
a baby.
happen, and we were both like, "Oh my god, are we gonna do
The
this?" We're like,
laser,
"Yeah,
and you
yeah,
have to, like, rub it regularly to keep it from
yeah,
regrowing, and but she got over it real fast. Babies have really high pain
yeah."
tolerance, and,
Or
it was definitely great for the latch.
yeah. No, it was like within a day.
So you had latch
Yep.
issues, you were doing the thing, and then that led you to
Yeah,
supplements
so
somehow.
so it was, and so yeah, so Jeannie and I were on a play date. Our kids were running around the playground, and we kind of were talking about, struggles that Jeannie had had and struggles that my wife had had, and we're just like, it would have been nice to have some type of product that could have helped with, with some botanicals to help with postpartum depression and B vitamins and vitamin D, all that good stuff, that magnesium. And so we came up, it was less than a year later, we came up with this. Our first product was like a drink mix. We thought, oh, it was
Mm,
kind of becoming popular, like electrolytes and things in little packets, and you can mix it up. And our thought was that moms are going through pill fatigue because they're taking prenatals, and it was just like, let's just mix it in water. Hydration's key for
huge.
lactation as well. So let's get them
Yeah.
drinking water. And um, we we launched that product right away, and it was great. We got great reviews. We had like biotin people had hair loss after birth, and that was helping their hair loss and nail
So
strength.
what was in it? Is electrolytes, which is like potassium,
No, no,
magnesium,
sorry,
salt.
it wasn't electrolyte. We had just kind of piggybacked
Was
on the
electrolyte.
idea of like these little
Ah,
single packets, but it was just
okay.
like all your B vitamins, A, D, it had everything. It was a multivitamin plus like a lactation galactagon in there. So like moringa was in there, and yeah, it was
And
great.
it's flavored?
It
Like,
was
it
flavor. It was
tastes
like,
good?
yeah, we'd that was the toughest part, was getting the samples and making it taste good. We struggled with getting omega 3s in there, but it made it taste really bad. So we said, okay, you got to get
Fish
that out. Yeah,
oil, yeah. Even fish
that's
oil in
too
our
funky.
formula
But yeah,
make it taste
that was a great product. And then God, it was like 2 years later we came out with our prenatal, um, similar formulation. Slightly.
so you started with the
We did.
postpartum with the, like, which is yeah, there's not a lot of
No.
stuff for that. And that mix is still on the market, people still
Well,
like
now it's a
that?
pill. We had a
Okay.
lot of feedback. People were like, "Well, just give us a pill. We'll take 2 pills." And so
It's too much to drink it in a bunch of
yeah,
water,
and
and yeah,
people, honestly, not everybody loves the taste, and you can't please
right.
everybody when it
Yeah,
comes to taste. And
makes sense.
yeah, so
So you just take the pill and drink it with electrolytes, and
yeah, and
yeah.
with the taste issue, it's like we didn't want to compromise, like, by adding a bunch of fake sweeteners and things like that. Our goal was like, as dietitians, it's always food first, but in the postpartum period, as you know, you're depleted on so many levels. Like if you have a C-section and everything that happens down in natural birth that we don't need to get into, but that healing process.
Yeah.
And so we thought we're gonna make something that we would take ourselves. So we were very careful about how we sourced it, who we worked with, and that took quite a bit of time, actually. And we're happy now with two products that I take our prenatal every day,
Hmm.
and it's just a great multivitamin. It's got ginger in it, so it's good for your stomach, and that was for morning sickness. And so yeah,
So you've got prenatals and
prenatal and
postnatals. Both
postnatals.
of them are good for anybody, or
Yeah,
men or
yeah.
women. They
I'm not feeling any ill effects. I feel great.
Yeah, and so let's sticking with the
Yeah,
postnatal or
yeah,
postpartum or 4th trimester
yeah,
or whatever,
yeah,
and so you have that vitamin
yeah.
mix that you guys put
Mhm.
in there. It's just like a one a day
Basically, yeah.
kinda
Yep,
thing, and if people were to add on top of that, since maybe some
yep.
omega-3s, or what other stuff is good
Yeah,
for,
definitely omega
moms?
3. And outside of that,
With fish oil being your favorite, you like fish oil, or what's your favorite
yeah,
omega-3?
just a nice DHA EPA balance. Many companies out there. Barlean's was one that we'd recommended to a lot of people. That comes in like it's like
That's
a
a pill?
no, it's a squirtable like gel almost.
Oh, okay.
Um,
Yeah.
that
I take the Carlson oil every day. Is that any good?
The Carlson? Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
I think that's
Yeah,
what it's
yeah.
called.
Yeah,
Yeah.
if
Yeah,
you
just
can
drink
stand the
a
taste,
swig.
people are always
Oh,
like,
yeah, just take a swig.
just a lemon
Yeah.
flavor, right?
Yeah, just get the
Yep,
lemon
yeah,
flavor. I just take a swig in the morning along with my
it's great.
supplements, and,
Yeah, that's the one.
not too bad.
People complain about
So
the fishy burps. That's what we heard most about. It's like,
oh,
yeah.
interesting, yeah. So vitamin omega-3s, what else is good for them to take?
Oh,
Electrolytes we talked about.
yeah, definitely electrolytes, stay hydrated. I think from a diet perspective, I think Mediterranean diet kind of from fertility to the, pregnancy period to postpartum, I think that's the best. Um, yeah, we had, moringa was in there for lactation. Um, yeah, I think I don't I think that would be it for sure. Yeah.
Mhm. And with the Mediterranean diet, we see a lot of data on the
Hmm.
benefits of, like, grass-fed
Hmm.
beef, which is obviously not on the
Right.
Mediterranean diet. So have you looked at that data, or what is your opinion of the omega-3s and CLAs and all that
100%. Yeah,
are
I
present?
think in all clients we talk to about food, it's like, yeah, get the diet sorted out from like a macro standpoint and protein and all that kind of stuff, but also the next level to that is sourcing your meat in a mindful way, finding a regenerative farm, finding grass-fed beef. I think that's hugely important. And beef is kind of, we subscribe to a kind of a premium beef delivery service. And yeah, I'm all in on that. I think that's fantastic.
It's
Absolutely.
kinda like Mediterranean diet plus grass-fed
Plus
beef is
grass,
sort
oh,
of
for
what
sure. Yeah, yeah, 100%. The B
Mediterranean does
vitamins,
usually no
what?
it's usually no red meat Mediterranean, right?
Yeah,
It's
the
just
minimal red meat, if anything. But we're as Americans, I think it's kind of
but it's a lot of veggies, which veggies are
tons
great
of
and people don't eat
veggies,
enough
tons of
vegetables, and it
fiber,
minimizes sugars, right? Which
micronutrients.
is
Exactly,
sugars and processed foods minimizes, which are we're all,
exactly,
all that stuff's
exactly,
nasty.
exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting. And so diet for postpartum, you're saying like, good, well-sourced
Hmm.
meats, fish,
Yep.
vegetables,
Salmon.
other kinds of good
Yep.
stuff for
Sardines.
salmon's
Yep.
great.
Yep.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, there's so many good canned fishes now.
Yeah.
Sardines and squid
Yep.
and, like, it's like a
Calamari.
whole
Yeah.
thing.
Yeah.
Yeah, the calamaris, they're really good.
There's a premium market for it now. You kind of see it in these. There's a bakery near my house, and they have these like really. The cans are beautifully designed, and it's from Portugal and Italy, and the Mediterranean there.
Some of my if I got served it at a restaurant on a plate, I'd be like, "This is the best squid I've ever
Right.
had." Like, they're real when it's in a can, like, I'm like, "This stuff is
Yeah.
really good."
Yeah.
So, that's great,
Yeah.
and snacking. Do you have a electrolyte blend you like?
Um, just a on the market one that I
Yeah, like
recommend.
a brand or a certain amount of sodium or
I think it's really all about like obviously the taste matters most to people, but also more importantly, I think like the ratio, a lot of getting that higher sodium, lower potassium ratio is more effective. I think a little bit of glucose too, especially, in exercise helps get that, sodium into the cell much easier than, like a stevia or kind of, an artificial sweetener flavored.
interesting. So you're sort of pro a little bit
A
of
little bit
sugar
of
in
sugar,
those,
yes. I mean,
not just,
in what an electrolyte is for is that post exercise, probably more of a heavy sweater type of individual.
or if for breastfeeding, same
Yeah, I
idea
think
because
so, for sure.
breastfeeding is sorta like a lot of sweating, you're like a lot of liquid leaving the
For
body.
sure, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're pretty big LMNT
Yeah,
fans given the salt, like, it's just such a high
huge fan.
1,000 milligram versus 250, but they're sugar-free, so I never thought about
Yeah.
you should add a little bit
I
of
I
honey
think
in with
I
the
think I would say more so in athletes and less
yeah,
so in, yeah, like I said, heavy sweating type of people. But I use,
yeah, for breastfeeding.
BPN, Air Performance Nutrition. Their electrolyte's pretty good. I think it's 500 milligrams. So,
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah, so it's getting up there.
yeah,
Awesome.
yeah.
And then for your prenatal, what's in your prenatal?
So, yeah, all this, all basically a multivitamin on steroids with, magnesium, choline, super important, vitamin D, vitamin A, all the B vitamins, some ginger in there, oat straw to help with morning sickness and things like that. Shatavari also. Um, so yeah.
Yeah, cool, and then if they take that, other things you'd recommend they supplement that with?
Oh, well, I'd like to say just take our prenatal, but also, stay hydrated. Obviously Mediterranean diet the best. I think to your point, electrolytes is good too. Getting enough magnesium to help, gestational diabetes, preventing that, hypertension and preeclampsia. Magnesium is great for fetal growth as well. Plenty of that in there as well.
Okay. So it could supplement some more of that if
Sure.
on top of yours if they
Well,
want. And,
yeah,
you know, don't need say don't
you
need
don't
to,
need
but if
to,
you want
but those would just be ones
and
I'd highlight, I guess. Yeah,
yeah, or like bone broth.
for
I
sure.
always hear bone broth for both pregnancy, postnatal. Our daughter drinks it every day,
Oh,
still
really?
loves bone. Yeah, she's a big bone broth fan and a lot of good
Is that
minerals.
in your products? The bone broth?
We have products with bone broth in it.
Oh,
Yep, we
yeah.
have bone broth products.
That's great.
Uh-huh. Yeah, we have a bone broth line that's all meat, veggie, bone broth mixtures.
Cool.
Yeah, that's awesome. So bone broth. So you like bone broth? Also, not technically on Mediterranean, I
No,
think.
I
So
know, I know.
yeah. So it's like
Mediterranean
Mediterranean
plus
plus.
Mediter American, I guess you could call it. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. And how do you as far as supplement and vitamin sourcing? You said you put a lot of attention to that. Like, what's important there in sourcing? a source of a vitamin?
Well, we just want to make sure it's third party tested and that we're you know, I think there's a lot of emphasis on um, having it be food derived in a lot of cases, but in a lot of cases that's not the
Yeah.
best for absorption. And in a lot of cases, like a synthetic vitamin is okay and in fact more effective. Along those lines, we really wanted to um, a lot of these, I think, prenatal supplements and supplements in general, the vitamin or mineral is in there, but is it at a therapeutic dose to actually make a difference? And I think a lot of cases we don't see that.
Yeah.
We really were intentional about, making sure that, yeah, if we're going to do this, it's going to be an effective dose. So
Mhm.
we worked with
So you
herbalists
so
and
you just have a blend of synthetic and natural occurring
in
vitamins or
our in
mostly
our supplement. Yeah, there's yeah,
it's a mixture
yeah,
based off what is more
yeah,
effective?
exactly.
Yeah, and when you say third party tested, what are they testing for?
They're just checking for heavy metals and contamination and things like that. Yeah.
So you test for the
Mhm.
heavy
Of
metals and
course. Yeah,
contaminants? Yeah.
yeah.
That's scary how many
No,
heavy metals are in
they're seeing
vitamins.
that more with like the greens drinks specifically.
And, like, I saw a study on prenatals that was like, the average prenatal is pretty high in heavy metals,
Yeah.
like, we're basically kind of almost poisoning fetuses with the vitamins we're taking, so, really happy to hear. I was afraid to ask if you tested because I didn't
No, no,
wanna,
we
like,
do. We do.
call you out if you don't, but you do, that's
Yeah,
really good,
yeah.
that's really, like,
Like I said,
super key.
we take it ourselves and I think the whole prenatal formula, why does formula get recalled? It's like, obviously breast milk, we like that best, but it's like this an unreasonable amount of recalls in formula, I think, which is very odd and unfortunate. So
Yeah,
anyway,
pretty
that's off
scary for
topic a
sure. A
bit, but
lot wrong with formula for sure. We have a formula product that's the closest to breast milk ever
oh
made.
wow.
Super tested, thoroughly tested, that we created it different from any other formula. We didn't start with formula recipes. We started with like over 200 studies of breast milk worldwide,
Yeah.
and had a very smart scientist basically mimic the macronutrients of breast
Uh-huh.
milk and the micronutrients in with real food and have this really unique recipe that is technically qualified as a toddler formula right now. We're struggling to get it infant approved because it's so different and unique. The
Oh
FDA like
really?
doesn't quite agree with it. We hope this new administration will be a lot more favorable to it because we're the only seed oil free
Okay.
formula. And so, like, that was a big thing, was making it with the right fat balances without seed oils
Oh wow.
was a challenge for us and for the industry, but we hacked it, we figured it out. So we have this toddler formula product
Oh,
that's really solid and very, very
very
clean.
cool.
But it sounds like you guys have looked into that a lot
Yes.
too,
Well,
so
now we have adults taking colostrum also, right? This
yeah.
colostrum.
I actually one of my supplement blends
Yeah.
has colostrum in
Yeah.
there. What do you think of that?
Yeah, I think it's great. I think although there was one article I was reading about just the amount and just I mean I would take it every day is what I would say. I wouldn't miss it to get the benefits out of it. I think the dose matters. So getting a lot of it is beneficial for sure.
So you're pro
Yeah, pro
colostrum.
colostrum, of course. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's
I've only
awesome.
tried it once. I
And
don't take it
yeah,
but I think it's delicious. I think it's
yeah,
been
and you probably said it already, but just to sum it up, for new dads, they're tired, they're overwhelmed, there's a lot of emotion, there's hormone stuff that we're going
mhm.
through, plus our wife's going through.
Yeah.
Supplements and diet, like, how do we, since that's your sort of focus, like, how do we
Yeah.
address
So
those 2
in my
things?
private dietitian practice, I work with a lot of dads. I think, like you said, we're depleted also. I mean, part of our movement with the company is to go to, getting supplements for dads as well. We want to do fertility. We want to include we want to kind of be the family of supplements for people trying to conceive, people who are pregnant and people who are, who become parents. I think the diet's very similar, the Mediterranean with grass-fed meat for sure. I think anything to help with like boosting testosterone because our testosterone gets depleted when, at that time as well. Um, and I think the nutrients are very similar. I think outside of your standard vitamin D, your standard magnesium, B vitamins for energy, and I think one that we'd consider is ashwagandha. I'm not sure if you take that one, but that one's as kind of a de-stressor and pretty new to the market and getting pretty popular. I think that's one that will definitely include in there. And I think the omega-3. I think with a lot of this, it just with the supplementation, I think it's, for everybody, I think there's a lot of depletion, and I think the vitamins and, the doses will be slightly different, obviously, for males versus females. But um, I think we're just based on typical standard American diet. We're very depleted. So finding a trusted, supplement product that at a therapeutic, effective dose, I think that's the direction that will
Mhm.
that will be.
How do you boost testosterone?
Well, I mean, aside from the lifestyle factors, getting good sleep, exercising regularly, obviously healthy, balanced diet, low processed food, um, staying hydrated, and you're just taking care of yourself, to as you should be as a dad, to be at your best for your wife and your child or children.
Mhm.
Yeah.
So I cold plunge as well is
Oh,
one
do
of the
you?
things yeah, I feel like my testosterone seems to be pretty good. They say cold plunge works really
Yeah.
well for hormone balancing.
Yeah. Sauna too?
Yep, I got the red light sauna. I've got a hot tub. I keep it 106, so like super
Okay.
hot tub, and then cold plunge at
Yeah.
40. So I go do the contrast hot
Yeah.
cold combos plus the infrared sauna a few times a week into the
Yeah.
cold.
Yeah. I think that's beneficial, but I really try to. I think it's great. No, I think it's amazing,
Mhm.
especially if you have like all the other foundational stuff dialed
Yeah.
in. I think that you'll get that benefit more so than I have a lot of clients come to me and they're like, I just started taking this supplement and I just started, doing the cold plunge and I just started doing, the sauna, all that kind of stuff. And it's like, well, let's talk about your diet. Well, I only sleep 5 hours a night. I'm tired all the time, did stuff. It's like, we got to get these other things, these habits dialed in before we really because you will get the benefit from those things, but I don't think you get the benefit until you've got like those foundational things dialed in. So, um,
Yeah, sleep they say sleep is the second most important thing to food when it comes to weight loss or
100%,
overall health.
100%.
That, like, before exercise,
Yep.
enough sleep is actually ahead of
Right.
exercise when it comes to,
The,
weight gain and overall health, so
yeah.
it's crazy how little Americans sleep, man, like,
That's the
it's
ultimate performance enhancer is sleep and recovery. And,
Mhm.
you got to protect that, at every stage of your life. It's super important. I
Yeah.
work with,
How'd you do that as a new dad? How'd you do that with a baby
oh,
and a
well,
you
when they say you
know?
sleep when the baby sleeps, right?
Yeah.
But we were just because we'd gone through the challenges, we were so ready and had a plan, when it came to like, when you sleep, I'll be doing this. And and we, don't get me wrong, it wasn't perfect, obviously, but I think having a plan and approaching the, sleep when the baby sleeps and, protect mom's sleep, predict what mom needs when she needs it. And, you know, we sleep trained. That was a tough 3 days, but that helped tremendously, to get the baby.
When did you sleep train?
Man, I think it was, around a year, little before a year, I think.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think we were about 8 months
Yeah.
in. We started sleep training. It's sometimes you can do it earlier than you
Yeah.
think. We were, like you, hesitant, and it was such a big game
Yeah.
changer.
Yeah. But you got to do it.
So,
You got to do it.
oh, yeah, it's a key
It's a
thing. You
key
got
thing.
potty training was the same way.
Yeah.
It's like you can wait as long as you wanna wait. It sucks to do, but man, is it
It
liberating
opens
once
up
it's
your
done.
life. Exactly. Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
huge.
Yeah.
So, my wife and I alternated nights.
Yeah.
We ended up sleeping in separate rooms most of the
Oh,
time,
really?
and we would take the baby with us. We'd have, like, a little we had the little Snuggle Me
Yeah.
that we just carried from room to room and
Yeah.
put it in somewhere in each of the room, and then I would wake up with her every other night and bring her to breastfeed, but at least then my wife only had to breastfeed, like, she didn't have to
Oh, yeah.
put her back to sleep or change her diaper or get out of bed or, like, do all the other stuff, and then eventually when she could bottle feed from pumping, she would, like, sometimes wake up to pump, but it would, like, be on her own time
Yeah.
rather than the baby's
Yeah.
time, and then I could bottle feed with the pumped milk and then wouldn't have to wake her up at all, and then she'd take every other night so I could sleep all the way through, so I'm surprised how many parents both get woken up every night by the baby,
Yeah.
like, they just nobody ever gets
Right.
a solid night's sleep. I'm like, "Why?" "I think you could, balance this out here." Like, even when she wasn't working, I was taking every other night because I can handle every other night.
Yeah.
Like, I'm tired, but, like, I lose sleep 3, 4 nights in a row, and I'm like a
Yeah.
mess. But, like, if I get 1 good night's sleep, 1 bad, 1 good, like, it's not sustainable forever, but I was able to push through, and same with her. Like if she had just was woken up every night, she would have been a disaster.
Yeah, I think that to that point, I think like that's activation of dad, right? That's like dad being of service, and I think that's super important. I think, when you become a dad, you just don't what I don't know what to do, right? There's this whole bunch of confusion. So like having a plan like you outlined around sleep, I mean, that's fantastic. What a smart thing to do. And, being able to predict the needs and go from there, I think that's fantastic. Cool to hear.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yeah.
that's awesome.
Yeah. Great supplements for a postpartum mom to take would be um, the omega-3 at a nice EPA DHA ratio. I think plenty of B vitamins. And I think definitely for a breastfeeding mom, moringa as a botanical would be fantastic. Great idea. Yeah.
And your product has all that
Yes,
in it,
obviously our product has
so
all
they
that
can
stuff in it. Yeah.
take I Am Nurtured.
Yep.
And then as far as diet goes?
Yeah. I think as a new mom, I think stay hydrated, make sure you're getting plenty of lean proteins, a colorful plate, tons of antioxidants, fruits, veggies, um, and tons of fiber to help the gut move in the right direction also in the postpartum period.
For dads too, like, this is how to use supplements and food to, like, optimize your dad experience.
Make sure our product's not to market yet, but make sure you're taking your multivitamin. Make sure also it has magnesium, B vitamins. Make sure your diet well balanced also, tons of lean protein, things to complement, you being of service as a dad, staying hydrated as well. Um, yeah, berries.
Yeah, you said get good
Yeah,
sleep,
get good
try to get
sleep.
sleep as
Oh
much
yeah.
as
Yeah.
possible,
Take the
work out.
take their time
Yeah,
to work out because if you're not at your best, you're not able to be your best for your newborn and mama as well.
yeah, and dads can take the postnatal supplement that women take. You said
Well, yeah, I
it's
would take the
good for
prenatal, not the postnatal. Yeah,
the
yeah, yeah,
prenatal. Okay, so dads can take a prenatal supplement, take your I Am Nurtured prenatal supplement as a
yeah.
general every
Moms,
daily
moms,
forever.
if you're willing to share your prenatal at this time before our dad, I guess we could call it dad prenatal, dad postnatal. Yeah, please feel free to take it. I take it every day. As I mentioned, it's just a fantastic multivitamin, all the essentials at therapeutic doses. And I feel great every day when I take it.
Yeah, it's awesome.
Yeah.
And then where can people learn more about your
Yeah.
products?
Please visit iamnurtured.com. Reach out to us if you have any questions. Hello at iamnurtured.com. My co-founder and I, Jeannie, we're both registered dietitians. So if you have questions about diet, supplement, about anything around food, drop us a line. We're happy to respond and to recommend the right product for you.
Great.
Yeah.
There's so many
I
supplements, there's
know.
so many vitamins, it's so confusing to know what to
Yeah.
take. So to hear the amount of research and intention you guys put into it, everything down to third-party testing for contaminants, to understanding the efficacy of its viability, not being dogmatic about synthetic versus
Right.
natural, blending it where
Exactly.
it works. Super helpful to have
Yeah.
that. Plus your dietitians, I mean, it's cool to think you're basically food people
Yeah.
creating a supplement versus a lot of supplement or vitamin companies are more like drugs. We're like, how do we mimic a drug with naturals? You're like, no, how do we emphasize food?
Yeah. In the age of Ozempic and GLP-1s, I mean, your body naturally makes GLP-1s. So how do we, and unfortunately the standard American diet doesn't doesn't support that at all, and so making sure that you can support that through your diet and I emphasize lean proteins, well sourced meat, obviously, beef, great, and high fiber diets. Those are two of the nutrients that you eat that cue that satiety, that stimulate that GLP-1, so that you can say, oh yeah, I'm satisfied. Another habit I would say is like eat until you're satisfied, don't eat until you're full. That's a huge thing.
Oh
That's
man.
a huge thing.
Americans are the only ones who do that. You ask people all over the
It's
world,
so
when do they stop eating?
yeah,
They say when I'm full, overwhelmingly. And Americans are like, when the food's
yeah.
gone. Like, that's when I stop
The
eating. So
Japanese
there's
have a
almost
term
always,
for it.
yeah,
It's escaping my mind, habuchi or something, anyway,
yeah,
anyway, but yeah,
yeah.
no, I think
The Europeans leave food on their plate
yeah,
all the like, they almost
right.
always food's left on the plate, like, they never eat it all. We, like, clean our
And they eat
plates, so
slow and they have these long,
it's a tough thing to
I
learn,
know it's for
but
sure,
huge.
for sure. And
Yeah, that's great.
a lot of the things that, I recommend as a dietitian, for me, it just feels like I'm just giving you advice and implementing a plan for you for all the information you already know. It's just a matter of doing it. And I think that, nutrition really gets overly complicated with the amount of noise there is on social media, and people get very dogmatic about, it's black or white, but it's gray, man. Everybody has like different needs, and a personalized nutrition program it can be a huge benefit to people, especially if they're able to be really consistent with it, not perfect, but as consistent as possible, and really move those, like, not only nutrition, but sleep and exercise and movement. And, like, it can be a huge benefit at any stage in life, and especially I think in the fertility, pregnancy, and postpartum period.
It's sometimes, I think, a little bit overcomplicated to confuse people or to sell them branded
Yeah.
stuff. But to me, it seems like what you need for fertility, what you need for pregnancy, what you need for postpartum, what babies need to eat when they start solid is all basically the same, which is
It is.
essentially meat and veggies. You
Yeah.
got good amount of well-sourced veggies, good amount of meats. You're saying fish,
Yeah.
especially grass-fed
Yeah.
beef. So you got a grass-fed beef, fish,
Chicken,
veggies.
eggs. Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, egg yolks and then good fats, olive
Right.
oil, avoiding sugars, avoiding
Of
processed
course.
foods, whole fruit, pretty good, fruit purees or
100%.
processed fruit, a little more sugary, so limit that, but it's all kind of the same diet. It sounds like supplements too, you like, almost everybody could take that
It's across
prenatal
the board. I think
and be
it's
good.
across the board, and like, it's more simple than we think. I think, like you said, we get overcomplicated with the supplements we think we need to take versus you can get a lot of the stuff from, from food itself. I think, creatine is having a moment right now, and I think rightfully so from a cognitive, standpoint, but also from, creation of ATP and, healthy maintaining healthy lean body mass, but you can get
Yeah,
that through meat. So make sure you're eating
yep.
plenty of meat.
I take creatine every
Yeah,
day. You're gonna put
I do
that in
too.
your dad you're gonna put that in your dad
Well, I think
postnatal,
that's a
or
separate, just because
you can't quite get enough of it in the pill,
exactly.
right? You need like a scoop.
Yeah, I take about 10 grams a day. I take a lot.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Yeah.
I put 5 in my
Yeah.
coffee every
Yeah.
day.
There's some
So,
interesting
that's,
Alzheimer's research, and they're
yeah.
using upwards of 20 grams a day, and it's helping,
Wow.
limit the effects of dementia and things like that, which is
Okay, I'm gonna
amazing.
start
I have my
upping
parents I
my
have my
creat
parents taking it now because I'm like, I want you guys to be anyway.
Does creatine sourcing matter? Is it all basically the
Yeah, I
same?
think I think Korea Pure is the one you want to get.
Hmm,
And I
okay.
think
Create
that's
beer.
like I think US based sourced, BPN, Bear Performance Nutrition. I mentioned them earlier. They make a great one. That's the one I use as well. Mixed as
Okay.
well.
Cool.
It's a taste,
Check
got
those
no
out.
taste to it. But
Well, cool. Well, so glad that you got a kid after all
oh,
that journey.
yeah, thank you.
It's
It was
so rough. What a blessing
yeah,
for you and for him to be wanted so bad, to go
yeah.
through that and you and your wife, and now you're bringing this nutrition and supplementation to moms and dads all over,
Yeah,
so
we just
it's
want to make the
really powerful
process
work.
as smooth as possible and promote health, obviously. And if we can help people in the future at any stage, I think that's really the mission. And uh, yeah,
Love it.
yeah,
Well, definitely let me know when your dad product comes
I'll
out.
send you
Happy
some
to
for sure.
support that and spread the word about that. I don't think that exists. I've not seen
No,
anything
I know.
that's
We'll
for
we'll
dads to
create the
take.
market. We'll create the
We have
market.
to just figure it out.
We'll get Joe Rogan to
So,
talk about it. Hopefully, yeah,
yeah, that'd
something.
be great.
Yeah.
So, awesome. Well, for now, you have Joe Carr, so
No, Joe
until
Carr is
then.
great. Well, thank you, Joe
Yes.
Carr.
Yes, one of the Joes.
Yeah.
So, awesome. Well, thank you so much for taking the time, excited to see where all this goes and recommend your products for people in my life and keep, healing babies and moms.
Thank you, Joe. It was great to meet you, man. I really appreciate you having me and to talk about our product and to talk about just postnatal health in general.
Yeah, awesome. Well, thanks everyone and stay dedicated.